Okay, we just tie a loose end. Yankel Zucker asked a great question the other day, and we saw a machloikis between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish as to what's the reason for the 7 days of Prisha. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it was the Miluyim. According to Rabbi Reish Lakish, it was Sinai. In Reish Lakish himself, there's only one Mandi Amar that shows it. It's machloikis between Rabbi Yossi Galili and Rabbi Akiva as to the Yechaseu and the 6 days. Was it 6 days before Matan Torah, or was it 6 days after Matan Torah? Rabbi Yossi Galili held it was 6 days after Matan Torah, and you needed Prisha. An additional day was added because of Tumah, which we'll see this evening. And Moshe went up to get the Luchais after that. Rabbi Nassan said, like Rabbi Yossi Galili, the 6 days of Prisha took place after Matan Torah. But the 6 days of Prisha was for the purpose of getting rid of the body waste that were inside of Moshe. So when he would go up to receive the Torah, he would be Kemalach Elikim. Freg Yankel Zucker, how in the world was it necessary to go ahead and have Moshe have a body cleanse? Moshe Rabbeinu was eating man. Man, we all know, was nivla. It was absorbed in the body. It was unnecessary to go ahead and get rid of waste. It's a great question. I've asked it to multiple people, and they all said, what a great question. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, I found the teretz. It's on Daf Ayin Hey Amid Beis. The Gemara there describes that there were people, there were tagrim in the midbar, merchants in the midbar who would go ahead among Klal Yisrael and sell them food. They would sell them things and sell them food. And the machloikis in the Gemara there, whether the mun absorbed that and brought it into the body, and therefore there was no waste, or no, the mun was absorbed, but what they ate from the tagrim, there was body waste. Says the Tosfos Yeshanim, obviously Agimara must be going according to the opinion that the tagri, the food bought from the merchants that would go out to the midbar, would not be absorbed, and therefore there was bodily waste, and therefore Moshe had to get rid of it. So it's very, very interesting. We have a little time to get there, about 70 blat, but that's the teretz to a great kasha and a great teretz by the Tosfos Yeshanim. Okay, we're up to Vav Amid Beis. We're up to Vav Amid Beis, where it says about 6-7 lines down, Mafrishin Kohen Gadol. They separate the Kohen Gadol. Ask the Gemara, Mafrishin Kohen Gadol, Loma Mafrishin. Why did they separate the Kohen Gadol? Frag the Gemara incredulously. Why did they go ahead? Loma Mafrishin, Kidda Karmina. We've had it now for 4 blot. El Rabbi Yochanan Kidda Islay because of the Miluyim. El Reish Lakish Kidda Islay because of Sinai. But we know why there was. So what's pshat? Why were they mafresh? And for the Gemara, Hachikaman. Mi Beisai Lama Pirsha. Why was it necessary for him to separate from his wife? Says Rashi, Beisai Lama Pirish, Meishtai. Lama Pirish, why did he separate from his wife? Tavai Ishtai Imai Sham. Let his wife go into the Lishkas Fahedrin with him. Let his wife go into the Lishkas Fahedrin with him. What are you worried about? Right? Obviously, fellas, he's able to lie down there. Shari al Korchach Lishkas Fahedrin lehoitza kedusha. The Lishkas Fahedrin did not have kedusha. She'ein yeshiva ba'azara el lamalcha beis David and kol shekein shchiva. So now, if you take a look, if I still have it here, let me see if I still have it on my notes. It's not over here. Where would it be? Where would it?
I'm sorry. Where's Rabbi starting from again?
Of Vav Amid Aleph.
Vav Amid Aleph.
I'm starting from Vav Amid Aleph. I just want to locate something. Is this what I want to locate? This is absolutely what I want to locate. Okay, and let's. You can see this, guys, on the screen or not?
Yeah, I can see it.
You see it? Okay. Look at my over here. This is the Lishkas Vehedrin. It should be right over here. You see where my pointer is? This is where it is. This is the Lishkas Vehedrin. it may be clearer on this one. It's number 24. You can see this one also?
Scroll up a little bit.
I got to square it up, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's upside down. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, that's harder to do than you think. You guys
The
are.
third one from the right is you flipped it around on the top. That's it right
I
there.
got it. I just had to get it. Okay. Now, over here, let me make it a little bigger. This 24 over here is the Lishkas Fahedrin. Right over here is Lishkas. Now look at it. If you see, if the out of bounds marker is the purple, then the 24 is inside the Kodesh, right? And the 24 would be inside the Kodesh. Guys, you with me? You can see this? I can't see you. Can you see this?
You can see it, yes.
So this 24 is inside the Kodesh. So how is the Kohen Gadol able to sit here, guys? How is he able to lie down over here? So the answer is that it was poseach l'choil. It opened up into the choil. Since it opened up into the choil, it opened up into the mundane. Then l'choira, so his wife should be able to be with him. So it was located in the Kodesh, but the opening was to the choil, and therefore would have kedusha of choil. Because if it was Kodesh, there's no way he can lie down. The only one who's able to sit is the Davidic king, and certainly what the Kohen can't lie down there. So why can't his wife be with him? Fred Taisus Akasha. Okay, you took care of the problem of yeshiva ba'azara, but it still has a loch of the harabayas. A balkari is not allowed on the harabayas. So how in the world would his wife be able to go ahead and live with him there? If he lives with his wife, he'll be a balkari. So therefore, Taisus says the Gemara's kasha is put him in a different place. Don't put him in the Fahedrin. Put him with his wife in one of the mechilais, one of the subterranean tunnels that was underneath there. If the whole purpose is to mafish him and to separate him from kedusha, why was it necessary to separate from his wife? He could live with his wife, and there's nothing to worry about. If he lives with his wife, he's about carry. He goes to the mikveh. He's a tful yoim. You have plenty of time before Yom Kippur to go ahead and be cleansed. So why was it necessary to separate from his wife? That's the Gemara's whole kasha. A very lamdish kasha, and just as we elaborated upon. Goes clear, guys. Clear? Guys, good. Everyone's good. Okay, great. Says the Gemara. Nachamo. Lama mafishin kidak minan il Rabbi Yerechin and Kedisla Rabbi Yesh Kedisla. Hachin kaman. He basically lama pirish. Why are you separating from his house? Tanya, let me just get that off.
I didn't make a note.
Okay. Tanya. Rabbi Yehuda Masei Ro'im Hashem Timtzi Ishay Safik Nida B'Yavei Aleha. What you're worried about is maybe you'll find his wife to be a Safik Nida and to live with her. And a boy will need this tummy for 7 days. Fred Gemara, Atu Berishi Askinon. What? He's going to find his wife as Safik Nida and then have relations with her once he finds out she's a Safik Nida? I mean, trust me, the Kahanim Gedolim were not tzaddikim in the second bias. A lot of them in political positions. But to make a halacha of prisha for these guys, certainly you don't make such a halacha. Ella shema yavay alishta. Maybe he'll have relations with his wife. V'timatze safik nida, and we'll find that was a safik nida. That's what you're worried about. That you'll find the safik nida afterwards. Now, so what's the problem? If she turns out to be a safik nida, then maybe he was boil nida. A boil nida is tamei for 7 days. So if we don't separate him 7 days before, if his wife will be with him, you may have a scenario where he'll be tamei and be unable to do the avodah on Yom Kippur. Okay. Now let's discuss something that you learned today when you were Mabed Sedra. Certainly, these are two of the hardest parshias in the Torah, Tazria and Mitzayra. No matter how many times you go through them, unless you really go through them with a fine-tooth comb, you basically do not know what you're talking about. We'll all admit that. No one wants to begin on this. Good. So now, a boil nida is kinida, meaning if a guy is boil nida, he checks himself, he finds on his aver, he finds blood, he's tamei for 7 days, just like a nida. If he stops living with her, she's still on the bed, she checks herself with a naid, with a mappa, and she finds herself blood, he's tamei for 7 days. If she checks herself off the bed, right, then it's a suffix, but he's still tamei. If she checks himself the time off the bed and to wipe, in other words, a more further delay to perhaps say she was Pyrus Nida after the Bia. In other words, the farther you get away from the actual Bia, the more suffix it creates that she was a Bia, that she was a Nida b'shas the Bia, right, guys? In other words, you're only boil Nida when she's a Nida when you boil her. But if you go ahead and the farther you get away, and even though she sees Dam, there's a svara to say the Dam is there now, then we get into a machlokes. The first sugya in Masechta Nida is that if she finds Dam and she was Isaac with Tyrus, how far back do we go to Metamaha? You might remember Shammai, Beis Hillel, the last Bedika, we pass him a slace. You go back 24 hours. Any Tyrus that she was Isaac with 24 hours from the time she finds the Kesem is Tameh. What about if she was with a husband within that 24-hour period? So it depends when she found the Dam. If she found the Dam pretty much the second level B, when she was getting off the bed, right? Then it's everyone holds mitama, he's tame. If, however, the time it takes to get off the bed, level 3, and wipe herself, then it's machlokes. Rabbi Akiva says it's tame, and the Rabbanan say he's tahar. Okay, so that's what we're discussing now. Machlokes Rabbi Akiva and Rabbanan in level 3 of the suffix. Good, that's what we're discussing. Says the Gemara. Now you're telling me the reason why you have to separate from the wife, maybe he'll be with his wife. Maybe she'll go ahead and become what? A suffix nida. And a suffix nida, suffix well is boiled in nida. That's going to create the scenario of what? Of maybe he won't be able to do the avodah. Says the Gemara. Amru come on the Chista. The Rabbanan said this teretz in front of Chista. That's the reason we separate for 7 days. We're in the middle of Vav Amid Aleph, the middle of the Vav Amid Aleph, Mamish in the middle. Kiman, who must be this according to? Rabbi Akiva. It must be according to the Tana Rabbi Akiva. The Amar, Nida mitama es boila. A Nida is mitama boila. The Rabbanon, because if it's the Rabbanon, Ha'amri, a Nida mitama es boila. Again, level 3 of so far advanced that distinct from the actual Bia, then we have machlokes. So therefore, it must be Rabbi. According to Rabbi Akiva. Amalur Chista. No, I feel it him Rabbanon. I'd kind of like Rabbanon Akiva Ella be'acher acher. They only argue the farthest away, right? Meaning level 3. Aval bechad, but level number 2. Acher, but one chad acher, one acher, meaning she's still on the bed, but she hasn't wiped yet. Moidel, the Rabbanon would be moida. Very geshmak. Amrav Zeh Shmamina. Okay, now next in. Okay, so now we got it, guys. Outside. Let's regroup. Fred the Gemara Kasha. Why do you have to separate your wife for 7 days? L'chayra, if you're a Balkari, it's only one. You have to herish shemesh. And for the Gemara, we're worried about maybe you'll be boil the wife and she nimsish suffix nida, boil nida 7 days. And it's speaking the scenario, whether it's Reb Kiva or Rabbanan, whether at which point in time did she check? Okay, now when does a nida go to the mikvah? Every nida goes to the mikvah at the night. Every nida goes to the mikvah at night. A nida and a yoledes go to the mikvah at night. A zov, a zava, a tamei meis, a sheretz, they all go to the mikvah during the day. Now the assumption over here is that the boil nida must be going to the mikvah at night. Because if he goes to the mikveh during the day, you shouldn't eat prisha for 7 days. It must be goes to the mikveh during the day. Because if he goes to the mikveh at night, 7 days won't be enough. Because if he's 7 days in advance, let's say he's with his wife, if one day you're gonna go to the mikveh at night, it's going to be 8 days later because you're gonna have to wait the whole next day for Erev Shemesh. So it must be that he goes to the mikveh during the day. Mikveh during the day, meaning mixas hayom kikuloi, and therefore what you would have 7 days. Says the Gemara. Amrav Zerishmamina, boil nida ain't a knida. A boil nida does not have a halacha of nida vis-a-vis going to the mikveh. That, in other words, v'toivel bayoim, he goes to the mikveh during the day. The amid, if you're going to say boil nida is knida and they go to the mikveh at night, emas tavel. When does he go to Emas Tavel? When is he Tavel? Emas Tavel. When is he Tavel? B'layla at night. L'macha hechi aver avoda. How would he able to do the avoda? For boy herav shemesh, he would have to wait for herav shemesh. In other words, he'd be tummy for 8 days. Ela lav shmamina boil nida ain't a knida, and must be he goes to the mikveh during the day, and therefore mitzvah yom kekula. We'll count that as the whole day, and therefore it gives us 7 days. Rav Simi Meradayama, no. Afilu Tema Boil Nida is Kanida. When did they separate him? They really separate him 8 days before. So the reason why we call it 7 days is because it's 7 full days. But in fact, we're separating him, 8 days before, which is considered mixed hayom, it's 8 days, and therefore we have nothing to worry about. Basically, you're telling me that that boil nida is kanida of simi, and you go to the mikvah at night. Kol chayve tfilos, anyone is chayv to be toivel in the mikvah. Tfilas and bayoim, the tfilas during the day. Nida via ledes tfilas and balayla. A nida and a yoledes tfilas and balayla. So it's mashma. The only 2 people who go to the mikvah at night are nida and yoledes. Nida in, boil nida loy. Kasha Rev Simi who says boil nida yes. And for the Gemara, nida v'chol de'asei meribuye. When it says nida and yoledes, it means nida and anyone that comes as a result of the nida. The tumah of the boil nida comes as a result of nida, so he also will go to the mikvah during what? During the night. I'm not taking questions to you this evening. I'm sorry. Meisive Baal Keri Kimaga Sheretz. A Baal Keri is Kimaga Sheretz. A Baal Keri is Kimaga Sheretz. Boil nida is Ketame Mace. Now, there's 2 possibilities over here. Baal Keri is Kimaga Sheretz, Le'inyan length of Tumah, and when they go to the mikvah. So Baal Keri will be Tameh for 1 day, like a Sheretz, 1 day, and goes to the mikvah at day. Boil nida Kitame Mace. Boil nida is like Tameh Mace. They're Tameh for 7 days, and they go to the mikvah when? During the day. Tameh Mace goes during the day. Boil nida goes during the day. This is going to be a kasha on Rav Simi, who says a boil nida is kanida, who goes at night. My lav tefillah does it not mean that in tefillah that both the boil nida goes to the mikvah during the day like tamei mace. Says marloi l'tuma son. It means le'inyan tuma. It means le'inyan tuma. Okay, meaning that just like tamei mace is tamei for 7 days. Who hadin a boil nida is tamei for 7 days. But le'inyan tefillah, we're not discussing. Le'inyan tefillah, mace goes during the day, and boil nida goes at night. That's what Simi would answer. Fred the Gemara, Tumasan behedikasiv. Why do I need a mishnah to tell me that a boil nida is tamei for 7 days and a tamei mace is tamei for 7 days? I got psukim that tell me that. I got psukim high tumah shiva ksiv bay, high tumah kshiv bay. Both have psukim. This week's the Tinasalav, the Tamei Shivas Yamim, by Mace it says Shivas Yamim. So Bishlema, guys, if you're telling me that a boil nida is like Tamei Mace, Le'inyan going to the mikveh during the day, that's a chiddush. But if you're telling me that boil nida is Tamei Mace, Le'inyan length of Tumah, I don't need a mishnah to tell me that. I know that from a Fursha Pasik, the Ksiv Behedya, Amid Beis, Elolav, it must be Litfilasan. It must be that we're discussing Inyan Tefillah, that the boil nida is like Tamei Mace, that he goes to the mikveh during the day. The Kashan of Simi, who says that he goes at night. Says Merloi, it's not a Kashan of Simi as a teretz. La'olam l'tumah son, la'olam it's linyan tumah, and really 7 days. What's your kasha? So what's the chiddush then? Sefer tzrichale. The chiddush is in the sefer. What's it say in the sefer? That Tamei Mace and boil nida are the same. Ela shechomer mimenu boil nida. That boil nida is more chomer than Tamei Mace. Shemetama mishkav u'maishav. It's tama by lying down and sitting. Betuma kala with a rishon l'tuma. The tamei oichel mashkin. To tama oichel mashkin. Okay, outside guys, look at me. Here's the kasha. Here's the teretz. Says Rav Simi, a boil nida goes to the mikveh at night like a nida. Says the Gemara, it's mashma boil nida goes to the mikveh during the day like tamei mace. Says the Gemara, no. The comparison to tamei mace is the number 7. Fred, the Gemara 7 is obvious. Says the Gemara, no, you're right. That's not the chiddush. Here's the chiddush: that tamei mace and boil nida are similar. However, boil nida is chomer in one way. If a mace would sit down on a bed, the tamei mace, he's a avatuma, would sit down on a bed of 10 mattresses. The first top mattress would be tamei. That's it. It would be rishon. It would be a rishon and it would be tamei. That's it. But a tamei is someone who is a boil nida if he would sit down on the mattress or lie down, each one of those mattresses will be a rishon. Each one, even the 10th one underneath, would be a rishon. That's the chumrah of boil nida of a tamei mace. Just for your own edification. A real nida or yoledes or a zav or a zava, if they would lie down on a bed, each one would be an avhatuma. Each one would be an avhatuma. So a boil nida gets his tumah from the nida, but he's not as tummy as the nida. The nida lying on the bed would be metama, mishkav, moishav, each one, and even the bottom one would be an avatuma. The boil nida, each one's going to be a rishon. The mace, only the first one's going to be a rishon. So that's the chiddush, that the comparison to tamei mace. But the inyan tefillah, they're different. The inyan tefillah, the mace goes during the day. Boil nida kenida, he goes at night, like Rav Simi. Tashma, we're going to slug up Rav Simi openly. Tashma. The Tani Rav Chia learned in a brisa, Hazov, the Hazava, the Hametzoira, the Hametzoiras, Uboil Nida, the Tamei Mace. All of these openly. Tfilasan Biyain. They all go to the mikveh when? They go to the mikveh when, guys? During the day. They all go to the mikveh during the day. They do not go to the mikveh at night. They go to the mikveh during the day, openly stated. Boil Nida goes to the mikveh during the day. Hence, Boil Nida is Lav Knida, and Violetis Tfilas and Balayla, Nida Violetis Tfilas and Balayla. Tiyufta, this is an upslug on Rav Simi. Rav Simi said that they have the same halachas. They go to mikveh at night, no, they go to mikveh during the day. And that will we explain, Mafrishin Kohen Gadol, 7 days, it will be enough, because if he did see Dam that day, mixes Yom Kikula, it would give us enough time to be Tahar. Okay, now the Achata Mafrishay Mitumas Beisai, if we share Mitumas Hames, there are 2 tumas that are associated with 7 days, right? Well, many more. But there's the Nida, there's the Zav, the Zayin Kiyim, there's the Zav and Zayin Kiyim. But the actual tumah for 7 days, there are only 2. We have the tumah of what? Of a Nida, and the tumah of a mace. So we're separating this Kohen Gadol from his wife, right? Can't be near his wife. We're worried about Boil Nida. Why aren't we worried that someone's going to walk into to visit the Kohen Gadol, consequently drop dead, and now he's tummy for 7 days because of mace? In essence, the Kohen Gadol should not be able to see anybody. No one should be near the Kohen Gadol. If you're worried about tumah, 7 days that is going to mess up the avodah of Yom Kippur, we should worry about the possibility of him contracting tumas mace.
That's less sheer than a nida.
Says Rashi, Bishar kol adam v'ad she'atem afrishay mitumos meisai, says Rashi, Bishar kol adam nichnasim v'yois etzloi, and people come and go, Hifrishay mitumis meis. V'lehoyu kol adam nichnasim v'yoitzim etzloi. Don't let anyone come in there. Shema yomis meis alav. Maybe they're going to die. So as I read the Gemara, why are we not worried about that? He wasn't quarantined. He wasn't in solitary confinement. As a matter of fact, there were 2 people, 2 Talmidei Chachamim who would come in and teach him the Avodah to make sure he did the Avodah well. Clearly, there are people seeing him. So why aren't we worried about that? If we're worried about Tumas 7 of Nida, let's worry about Tumas 7 of a mace. It's a very, very good kasha. And for the Gemara, let's see, and for the Gemara. Amar Rav Tachlifa Avur de Rav Huna Mishmei de Rava Zaisei Meres. You hear from here. Tumas Hames Hutrihi B'Tzibor. We've discussed this many times. We had it the big sugya by Pesach Sheni. If Roiva B'Tzibor, Roiva the Kahana Matame, then the tuba, the korban, the avodah of the tzibur is permitted to be done. Now the question is, do we say it's mutter completely, or do we say it's because she permitted? And we'll see nafkaminas pretty soon. I'll give you a good example. Fellas, can you midaraisa wear tzitzis made of shatnez? Midaraisa, are you permitted to wear tzitzis made of shatnez? And the answer is yes. Why? The assay of tzitzis of Gedilim Pasalacha is doichad lois assay of loisil b'shatnus. Good. Would any one of you tell me that there's no shatnus there? Pshat is there's no shatnus there? Or will you tell me the mitzvah of tzitzis pushes away the shatnus? Obviously, it's the latter, right? You can't go ahead and say there's no shatnus there. You take a look. There is wool, there is linen, they're mixed together. There's no one telling me that there's no linen. By Tumah, when it's permitted, when it says that only an ish goes to Pesach Sheni, but the tzibur doesn't, when the Torah gave me that waiver, what did the Torah do? Did the Torah make it like the scenario I just presented to you? The tum is there, but where we can't avoid it, we don't avoid it? Or do we say that the tum is not there at all? Says Ravina, the Rav Tachlifa, the tum is not there at all. We let people come in and visit him. You know why? Because if a guy would drop dead and in his Dalet Amis and touch him and be underneath the same dome as him, we don't care. There is no Tumah. Tumah Hutra B'tzibur. This Kohen is the only game in town. We're going to see on tomorrow's Amid, guys, even though he's bringing the carbon of a Yachid, he's bringing the carbon of a par, of Aaron, and the Isle of Aaron, Seir is bringing his own Kabbanis. Since in order to bring the Kabbanis of the Tzibur, he has to first bring those Kabbanis, they're interlocked to the Tzibur, and therefore it's Tumah Hutra B'tzibur. In other words, you might ask me a question. What's the carbon Tzibur over here? It's the carbon of an individual. It's the carbon of Aaron. There's no waiver of Tumah by an individual carbon. And the answer is, oh yes, there is. If that carbon Yachid is gebunden, meaning the only way I can bring the carbon Tzibur is when I bring the carbon Yachid, Aaron can't bring the Seyed for the Tzibur unless he brings his carbon. He has to be squeaky clean before he goes to get a kapara for Klal Yisrael. So Memela, that's for the need of the Tzibur. And therefore you have the heter and the waiver of Tumah Hutra B'tzibur. Beautiful teretz. We're not worried about anyone seeing him. You know why? Because if someone dies, it doesn't make a bit of a difference.
Yeah, but you say only Hutra when you have no other choice. So he appoints that he'll be Tomei, you get somebody who's not Tomei. Why do you have to go with the person who's Tomei?
Hutra means, hang in there. Hutra means that what? He's mutter. We're not worried because there is no tumah. That's what it means. You're all learning, Yehuda, from your question, there's still tumah there. Listen to what you just said. There's still tumah there. Let me get somebody who's not tumah. If there's no tumah there, what are you getting anybody?
So you're saying it's Hutra, not Hutra?
Hutra, again, look what he says. Zoisai meres, Thomas Ames, Hutra hi b'tzibur. What does that mean?
It's Mutter. So, okay.
Hutra. Okay, hang in there. Ravina Amar, but we'll get to you in a sec. Ravina Amar, afil tema Thomas Ames dechuya hi b'tzibur. Okay, here is, now Thomas dechuya, so we would want to avoid it, right? Thomas Ames le shchicha. Tumas beis shchicha. Now they're both very, very far possibilities of finding his wife Anida, or someone dying exactly at that time. It's more statistically, the chance of tumah is greater than the chance of mace. So even if you're going to tell me that tumah is hutcha b'tzibur, meaning the tumah is there, and if I can't avoid it, I don't. But if I could, I could. And really, therefore, we shouldn't let people in, because if there's tumah, we're going to have a problem. Since it's leishchicha legazer rabbanan, they were gozer by what? By nida, suffix nida. That was enough of a possibility that we were gozer. So two terutzim to the kasha. What's the kasha? Why are we only worried about tumas nida and not worried about tumas mace? Two terutzim. One, there is no tumas mace. Tumah hutra b'tzibur. Two, there is tumas mace, but it's leishchiach, and therefore we're not worried. Now, the Gemara goes tangentially and begins to describe the sugya where the tumas hutra b'tzibur and tumas hutcha b'tzibur. Itmar, tumas hames. Rav Nachman Omar, hutra hi b'tzibur. Tumas hames is mutta b'tzibur. Let's see Rashi HaKadosh. Zog the Heilige Rashi, Hutra hi betzibor kidechsiv ish nitcha ve'ein tzibor nitcha. We learned from Masechet Pesachim, the ish is pushed to Pesach Sheni, but not the tzibor, because tzibor is Hutra betzibor. Ubiyom Kippurim kula carbon tzibor, and by Yom Kippur it's all carbon tzibor. And now Rashi asks the question that I told you. The af carbon shaloi, and even Aaron's personal carbon, which you would say is not the carbon of a tzibor, doicha es hatuma. It pushes away tuma. Why? Shari zmano kavua, because this is the only time you can bring it. The carbonoi tolibo, guys. The carbon of the tzibor is dependent upon Aaron. Why? As I told you, he can't bring the seir for the tzibor unless he brings his own carbon. We're going to see that in tomorrow's Amid Beis. Memel, it has a din of carbon tzibor. Guys, good? That's the pneumius of Rashi. That obscure last word. The carbano, meaning the carbon of the tzibor, is tali boy, is tali in him. Okay, back in the Gemara. That's Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says Tumas Huta b'tzibor. Rav Sheshis, the Bar Plukta, Rav Nachman is the Chuyahi b'tzibor. Now, where's the machlokes? Now let's go through it one more time. There are mishmarim. There are 24 mishmarim. Each mishmar has 6 batei avos. What does it mean that tum is hutra or hutcha? How many people are tamei? So now, where you have tamei dika people and tahar dika people, who beis av, with that particular beis av doing the avodah, kuli amalei pligi, in Rav Nachman would be moida, the tahirin avdi tamei and loy avdi, right? So even though that tumah is hutra b'tzibur, even now, this is a big problem, guys, outside. You're telling me Tumas Hutra B'tzibur. So why would there be a difference between whether you have Tameim and Tahirim? Okay, this is Yehuda's problem. Yehuda says, 1 second, you got Tahirim guys. Where do you go? Here, you have 2 Kahanim. Here's 2 Kahanim. This guy's Tamei, this guy's Tahar. You got a carbon, and you're telling me, well, guess what? Let the Tamei Dika guy do it. Let the Tahar Dika guy do it. But why? If Tum is Hutra B'tziva, there is no difference between the Tamei Dika guy and the Tahar Dika guy, correct? Correct? Says the Shagasarye. Shagasarye wrote a sefer on Yuma called Gvuras Ari. Says the Gvuras Ari, this is a din d'Rabbanan. Guys, you hear this? When it says Tum is Hutra B'tzibur, and the Gemara here says, when you have 2, Tamei v'Tahar, we're going to go with the Tahar guy and not the Tamei, not because he's better. It's an Issa d'Rabbanan. It's the Rabbanan placed an Issa that this guy should go. But Minat Torah, if Tum is Hutra B'tzibur, they're exactly the same, which is the only way to learn Pshat over here. Because if it's Hutra B'tzibur, there is no difference between the 2. You hear, Hutra B'tzibur means, guys, there is no Tumah. These guys are exactly the same. So why should the Torah go first? On that, the Shagasari is saying it's only a din d'Rabbanan. We're going to have a Nikah D'Ami in a second, but again, that's the din. One more time. Even Rav Nachman, the Tahirin Avdi, Tameim Avdim, that Tameim don't do. I have a Hutra B'tzibur, says the Shagasari, it's only the Rabbanan. Ki pligi, when's the machlokes? Lahadure ulasuye tahirim mebesav achrina. They're all tamei. They're all tamei. Do you have to go to another beis av and find another guy trying to do it? Rav Nachman, amahetahu b'tzibur. It's mutter. You don't have to go get forget about it. Just leave it. Stay there. V'loy madrinon. Rav Sheshis Amar dechuyehi b'tzibur tumis hutcha umehadrinon, and you go to another beis av to go ahead and get another claim. Do your best to do it b'tayra. It's the chuya, it's only b'di eved, but the tum is still there. Ikadi army, others say no. I feel a heicha the ikat tachayin utmeim. There's not even a din derabanan. Be'ahu beisav polig Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman would argue even there. Tumah is hutra completely, guys. To the extent tumah is hutra to the extent that even if you have Tameim and Tahirim, guys, look at the scenario. Tameim, Tahirim, either one, it doesn't make a difference. The Tamei could do it. V'amar avdi nami Tamein, the chol tuma meis b'tzibur rachmana shari. Now notice, guys, all tumas meis is b'tzibur. All tumas meis is muta b'tzibur. Look at top Rashi. Kol tumas meis b'tzibur shari rachmana dechsiv ish kiyeh tamei l'nefesh yasa pesach sheni ish nitchel pesach sheni be'ein tzibur nitchel. This is where we learned it from. Only a person, but not the tzibur. Aval zavin mitzrayim nidas v'yolday shetumasam yoytzala migufay. They have the severe tumah of coming from the body, as we spoke about in Masechtas Pesachim. Loi hutra. The din of tumah hutra b'tzibur wasn't said eitzel dem. Who boil nida kenida, boil nida is kenida. So the Gemara is asking a kasha, guys. If you're telling me that tumah is hutra b'tzibur, so why would you be worried about boil nida? That he's tamei for 7 days. Let him do the avodah. Tumah is hutra b'tzibur. Guys, they hear the kasha? Guys, listen. Look at me. If tumah is hutra b'tzibur, then why are you worried about the boil nida? Tumah is hutra b'tzibur. Elamah, the din of tumah hutra b'tzibur, we learn out from where? Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni is only speaking about which tumah? Tumah meis. Tumah that of a nida, tumah of boil nida, of zov that is not. They can't bring Pesach Rishon, but it's not hutra b'tzibur. Okay, so let's see. Let's Chazir Ibn Nachamel. So we saw tonight. We saw the machloikus between Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanon. Why 7 days? Boil nida. That was worried about boil nida. And why aren't we worried about? And that also that the boil nida goes to the mikvah during the day, and that's why it was enough 7 days, not 8 days. It was enough 7 days, not 8 days, because he goes to the mikvah during the day and not night. And we'll say mitzvah yom kikuloi. Then we want to know, why do you have to separate them for 7 days only for nida? Why don't you have to separate 7 days for mace? For that answer, we have Ravina that tumas hutra b'tziba if tachlifa if it would die, or Ravina's terrace that even tumas hutra b'tziba and it's like shchichi. And now the last thing we said, machloik is tumah. Rav Nachman says tumas hutra b'tziba, and according to Rav Sheshes, tumah is hutra b'tziba. If we have a base av working together, some are tomei, some are tahor. We have machloikas to lishonis. What Rav Nachman hold, according to the first lashon, he would not disagree and say he said that tahorim should do it. According to the second lashon, that tameim also could do it, and because tumah is hutra b'tzibur, and tomorrow we'll see as Hashem will get into this more be'iyah. Thank you. Have a good davach. Thank you.
Good talk.
But-
Good davach, everybody.